you don't agree with that guy, but you also don't agree with Caitlyn Jenner's public coming out.
Well, that's true. It's unfortunate that Steven Anderson's even getting the press time that he's getting, because that's why he does what he does. Believe me, he's preached more sermons against me personally than everybody else combined. So, unfortunately, in Phoenix, we know a lot about this fellow. But unfortunately, that also distracts from the real discussion, and that is when we're talking about what happened in regards to the Jenner situation. Are we talking about something that is good for him and his family and his grandchildren? Or is there something that could have been better? Unfortunately, that distracts from it.
What could have been better?
Well, I'm a grandfather like he is. And I cannot imagine changing the relationship that I have with my wife, with my children, with my grandchildren in doing what he did. I wish he could have found someone who could have encouraged him to see that there was a purpose in the way that, from a Christian worldview, a believing Christian worldview, not the Steven Anderson worldview, that he was created by God for a purpose, and that he could find that purpose if he would but pursue it and get the help to do so from the believing community.
And let me switch over to you guys. We are talking about Caitlyn Jenner and how some people have reacted since her transition became public. I'm back with Vanessa, Emily, and Mike. James White, who opposes Caitlyn's transition, in our audience. And James, you became upset last time you were on the show with us, and you responded on YouTube to us. We're going to take a look at that. I've not seen it yet.
Bruce Jenner is not a woman. My wife is a woman. Bruce Jenner will never be what my wife has been her entire life. And I am offended that anyone would compare him to her. It's not just homosexuals or people who mutilate their bodies, pretend to be a gender they're not, or whatever else it is. It's all of us. Every single one of us. Abide under the wrath of God. That's what Jesus said. You simply have to say, I don't like Jesus.
James, why does God care?
Why does God care?
Because in his... No, but I mean, if these people are happy and not hurting anybody and maybe living a productive life, you know...
God cares about every one of us. He made us for his glory, and he gave us direction in Jesus Christ as to how we're to live. So he cares so much that he actually came into his own creation as in the person of Jesus.
But why does he care about transgenders? Not why does he care about humans? Why does he care
because in Jesus' teaching, the gift of maleness and femaleness is just that. It's a good gift from God. And it's central to the aspect of how we are to relate to one another, how we are to have children, the foundation we give to society.
And so people that are ambiguous genitalia or XXY or XYY genetically, those are not God's people?
You brought that up last time, and yet no one that we're talking about is that.
No, but I wonder why does God not care about those people?
We live in a fallen world. And there are obviously situations, very small number, and we are to stand with those people. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about actually saying that we as individuals can, in our minds, determine what reality is going to be, even when that is against the reality that we see around us. We see it in the news right now with the transracial stuff. It's the same thing. Does man have the right to make that kind of change?
Well, do you have the right to tell people that they're not deserving of God?
The question would be, does God have the right to
But I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Well, I'm not taking the place of God, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm simply saying if God has spoken with clarity, then we need to listen to what he has said.
Okay.
You're shifting that over to me.
But my question is, what do you do with somebody who is suffering inside? What do you do with someone like that comes to you and says, you know what, I don't feel good about myself right now. I don't feel safe with myself. What do you do?
You introduce them to what the scriptures say they have been called to be, and you then tell them the Spirit of God will assist a person who desires to do God's will to accomplish.
That's what the Duggars told their son,
right?
By the way,
but also I'm curious. I'm curious if you know, and I'm asking out of general curiosity, if Christ could exist as the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, why couldn't a child of God exist as a man or a woman?
You don't seem to understand Christian teaching, because we don't believe that Christ is the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He's only the Son. He's not the Father nor the Spirit.
But Christ can exist in the form to which you find him to be most effective. Am I correct? I mean, with some people's view,
from Jesus'
paintings I've seen of Christ have varied greatly. I mean, there's a tremendous variety in images.
I want to get some of the transgender youth in here. I've got Jade Ponce. She's a transgender YouTuber as well. Jade, you heard this conversation. What do you think?
I just feel kind of bad. I couldn't imagine living my life with so much hate in my heart. I'm very spiritual. I'm religious. Ever since the beginning, I know God made me this way, and I still love God. Nothing's changed.
So
with that
Jade, I want to interrupt
relationship.
you. So from your standpoint, Aurora will ask you the same question. So from your standpoint, God made you and you are, and you're now more living more consistently with how God made you as you see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, Aurora, is that correct?
I absolutely believe
Sasha, is that correct?
Oh, yeah. And I was going to actually comment off what he was saying about how before I came to this, I was not nearly as loving, or I couldn't be as good of a person to anyone around me that I wanted to be.
Did you try?
I tried, yeah. I thought I was. And then as soon as I really...
No, but did you try any spiritual or religious path?
Yeah, of course. Like, I tried a lot of things and finally was able to, come at peace with myself and then love everyone.
Wait, just say, James, as a clinician, that's my problem, is I'm into what helps people. That's my job, not to live by any doctrine other than what is, good for people, human beings living in this world. And if this worked, what you were suggesting, just like with the Duggars, if that worked, great, good for them. It doesn't work. We know that as clinicians. That's why doctors are participating in this.
But Dr. Drew, it was fascinating that you were the one in the last program we did constantly bringing up the number of suicides that take place after this, which is an issue that has to be brought up. And secondly, when we talk about loving, from the Christian perspective, the first person we're to love is God. And then we're to allow that reflection to identify who we are and how we are to be loving in his sight.
I don't think it's fair to say that this man has hate in his heart because he has a certain belief that you all don't agree with. That's not fair.
I agree. Well, help us, Vanessa, help us understand.
How he feels.
Help us understand.
Because I don't have to agree with everything that you do. Caitlyn Jenner might not like some of the things I do, but that doesn't mean I have hate in my heart because I don't think that you should go around changing the body that God gave you. If God made you that way with certain body parts, who's to say that you're now supposed to go cut those off if God gave you the brain that you say he has to live in a certain life? That's not hateful. That's just not agreeing with you.
And to be fair, I agree with you, Vanessa. To lump Mr. White in with people who are being hateful, I think is unfair. I mean, he doesn't necessarily agree with the transgender community, but also I think I don't hear you espousing any hate.
Jade,
I really don't.
Jade, you have a comment you want to make.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify real quick. I didn't mean that he had hate in his heart. I meant other people like that.
Okay, another question from the audience. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say it's more of a comment rather than a question, but I agree totally with you.
With Vanessa.
As a Christian community, my personal belief is that we are created in the image of God and that God has a purpose for creating us, whether man or woman. My heart breaks for transgenders and the struggle that I hear them describe.
You seem moved by that.
Yes, we do struggle. There are definitely things day to day that get me very depressed and very upset, but this is really, for lots of us, it's a really happy time.
We're
realizing like who we really are, and we're becoming who we've always been. And so there is a struggle, though. I think it comes more from other people.
Right, and James, ultimately you said it's a worldview, that the worldview that you adhere to is deteriorating or changing or being adulterated or something.
It's the worldview that gave rise to our society and our laws. That's why we're having so much difficulty and so many struggles, is because that worldview is what gave the foundation for our understanding of marriage.
Doesn't the majority of